Go for it.
Hello, hopefully you can hear me this time around. Welcome back to FFG Live. My name's Evan Johnson, and we're joined here today by none other than Dane Beltrami, much loved by the community, as we've already seen in the comments. So over the next hour or so, we will be playing a full 8-player game of Twilight Imperium with the Prophecy of Kings expansion. That's not true, but we are going to do a Q&A. So if you have questions about Prophecy of Kings and this expansion, throw those in the chat. We will be grabbing those and asking them to Dane as we go along. If you have requests for specific spoilers, you can throw those in there as well. And otherwise, we'll just roll on and do some Q&A.
Chat says I'm very lovable. It's true.
Is it true?
Yes. I'm very warm.
That sweater looks warm.
It is warm. It's the first time I've worn it, actually.
Looks cuddly. All right, first question here. What is psychoarchaeology?
What is psychoarchaeology?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was quick. So psychoarchaeology is a new green tech.
I thought they were asking more in a,
No,
what is the field?
Let's show it.
Okay.
It's too small for me to read it from over there, so you want
okay. I will read
it?
You don't have it memorized?
What? No, I don't have it memorized. Are you kidding me?
All right. You can use technology specialties on planets you control without exhausting them, even if those planets are exhausted. During the action phase, you can exhaust planets you control that have technology specialties to gain 1 trade good.
Yep. So basically, it lets you use tech specialties without worrying about whether the planet's exhausted or not.
Sure.
And then additionally also lets you exhaust, usually you can only exhaust for resources or influence. Now there's a third option as well, lets you exhaust a planet to gain a trade good, which is significantly better.
Yeah. So there's 8 new technologies for everyone in this.
There
right?
are 8 new technologies, 2 green, 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 blue.
And with those, we're already going off script, but
yeah,
that's just how we're going for this stream.
Script is dead.
With those technologies, was your goal to fill holes or make adjustments to kind of the base game experience, or was it more to tie into the new components?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yep. There were some that were really, clearly in intention to kind of address base game things that were off kilter. For example, the AI development algorithm, which kind of helps get war suns into the game, which are something that were kind of hard to achieve in TA4. And there are ones like the self-assembly routines, that involve mechs. That's clearly just new mechanics. This is not really either of those things. It's not something that's addressing something that's missing. It's not really something that ties into new mechanics. It's just something that sounded fun.
yeah, absolutely.
It was something that always irked me when I would accidentally exhaust something that I needed for a tech skip. So I was just like, I'll just make a tech, then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of tying into that then, as we covered in our unboxing that we did at Gen Con, Prophecy of Kings is this huge expansion that adds just a ton of new stuff to the game. And one of the most interesting aspects of it is that this is not a modular expansion like the 3rd edition expansions were, right? It's not I want to use this and not this, right? It's you put all of this in, and it's this is the full package, right? What went into the decision to make Prophecy of Kings work that way, and what are the advantages of doing it that way?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't set in stone at the get-go. It took there was a lot of thought that went into that decision, and I kind of waffled back and forth on it for a long time. And if you dig around in the BGG forums long enough, you actually find a post where I talk about my thought process as to why it went fully holistic as opposed to modular. Honestly, there's a bunch of reasons, but the main one is just that I think it makes for a better game. When all the components can actually be interlinked, when you have new action cards that can reference new mechanics without a weird side system that makes it so you can spend it as a trade good, which is how TI3 handled that, and you make tech that can interact with new systems, it just feels like a cohesive game. And I know a lot of people liked that aspect of TI3, but honestly it was more, I think it ended up being more divisive than it ended up being helpful, that people could be modular, because the thing is that people don't often maybe reject systems that are part of the core game. So if you integrate something so that it is part of the core game, then it doesn't become so divisive, I guess. And I want everybody to be playing the same game, I guess.
Sure.
And so without that level of division, hopefully the only division will be, are you playing with the expansion or not?
Awesome. I see a lore question here.
All right.
What is the Prophecy of Kings?
The Prophecy of Kings. So the prophecy, I guess, is referencing the prophecy of Ix specifically, which is that there's this paradise planet out there somewhere. The Prophecy of Kings, I guess, refers to the reality of the Prophecy of Ix, which is that there is no paradise planet out there. The kind of idea behind it was that there's all these legends and myths about this holy planet that's out there, that's a paradise. People from all corners of the galaxy are trying to find it. But the reality, of course, is that the Mechs Kings have kind of, in their Lazak's imposed exile, they kind of seeded this idea in the races that are out there that there is this holy planet, and over the millennia, the real truth got lost, and all these people are looking for this holy planet, not knowing that when they find it, it's just gonna contain the Mechs Kings, which is what happened.
Right. Awesome. I see some people asking to see the Primor ability.
The Primor ability.
I actually grabbed it over here.
All right.
So let me throw this up here. This is, I'll just read all the cards since you're too far away. So this is the legendary Primor planet. It's called the Atrament. You may exhaust this card at the end of your turn to place up to 2 infantry from your reinforcements on any planet you control. That seems pretty good.
It is good.
Was it hard to restrain yourself to 4 legendary planets?
No, not really.
Okay.
Especially with like, I guess the main reason it wasn't difficult is that like, if everything is special, nothing is.
Yeah.
So, I just grabbed those 4 like, because they were kind of iconic to me from TI3, and they all had like a kind of something that made them special. So that's where I went. Yeah, someone said it's very Bene Gesserit, the Prophecy of Kings. Sorry, jumping back, and that is true. That is the prime influence of the Prophecy of Kings is the Machineria Protectiva from Dune.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Are you excited for the movie?
What? I am excited, or I was excited for the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm still excited for it. Hopefully
5 years from now.
Hopefully I don't like die before then or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be really sad.
Assuming we're not seeing it screened on like a pile of rubble.
My only request is that the movie is perfect.
Yeah. Like the book.
The book, yes, exactly.
I'm worried that there's not going to be enough talk about the ecology of the
well, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes.
So there are 7 new factions introduced in Prophecy of Kings, which brings the total up to, I believe, 24.
Yep, 24. Nice and divisible.
How do you... Yeah, not unlike 17.
Unlike 17. Yep.
How do you start design on a new faction when the game already has so many?
I mean... there's no one answer for that, because some of them started with theme, and some of them started with, I want to do a mechanic. But... yeah, that's really it. I mean, like
give us an example.
So the Argent Flight, before they were anything else, I just knew I wanted an avian faction. It was like there's a noticeable lack of that, and so there was this idea of a avian faction kind of floating around. And as the ideas for factions developed, like it kind of slotted into the like militaristic, disciplined like warrior faction, and that worked for me. And of course they had the destroyers, so like the destroyers became this like sort of they're like flight like wing destroyers, and that kind of like changed how I thought of them, and then raid formation came out of that. It was really like a very non-linear development. And then conversely, something like Nomad or Nazrul Ka, I was like, well, I want to have like a leader faction, and then that leader faction actually also became a flagship faction, and then like the Nazrul Ka, they were like the exploration faction. Well, they also kind of became a mech faction. So it was just kind of, and then something like Mahakt, like we knew the lore of them, and I knew I wanted to include them, but had no idea where I was going with the mechanics, and just kind of took what little lore we knew about the Mahakt from previous games and fleshed that out. I mean, we basically took gene sorcerers and turned it into a thing. Like what is that? What kind of mechanics does that title inspire? And it kind of grew out of that. There was no one. There was a long period of time where I was kind of talking with people around the office, other developers and designers, and just kind of being like, what kind of faction would you want to see? And then there were all kinds of crazy things. You know, we talked about a faction that would be like the Frankenstein monster faction, where there is a big roving beast that goes through the galaxy, and they have kind of slight control over it, and it just eats things. But of course, that didn't end up being something. But like, there were tons of ideas, is what I was getting at.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Robot gorillas. Oh gosh.
Do you have a favorite new faction introduced in this, and do they dethrone your previous favorite faction?
Ghosts?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, of course not. Ghosts are the
No,
best.
ghosts are my babies. My favorite new faction, probably Nomad. They're like, the way the Nomad works is fun for me.
They also have a ghost.
They also have a ghost. They also have a ghost that is close to me for no particular reason. Yeah, I do like the Nomad. Second favorite, maybe Nazrul Ka or Mahakt, I think. I don't know. I like all of them.
Pick your favorite child now.
Yeah, I love all my children.
Someone was asking to see the 3-planet tile. Can you grab that 3-planet tile over there?
Rigels.
There it is. Oh, look how nice that fits. That's perfect. Let's see. Lots of love for Dane. Oh, this is interesting. Will something happen to the Prophecy of Ix's agenda card from the base game? You have to tear it up.
That's a good question. Yeah, you gotta throw it in the fire.
Yeah.
No. Nothing will happen to it.
Another big new addition with Prophecy of Kings are the leaders that each faction receives, both the new factions and then the old factions. Can you talk a bit about what led to the creation of these leaders?
Yeah. So I always really liked the idea of leaders. I'm a big fan of like space 4X genre, and like leaders or like heroes are like a mainstay in that. You always have your planetary governors and stuff like that. And TI doesn't have like governance on a planetary scale or leaders that like move around with the ships, but I wanted to have something like that. The other thing that I really like about TI, of course, is like the faction diversity. And I think I've talked about it before. One of my goals was to increase the faction diversity, so that things are even more asymmetrical, that there's even more player powers, and of course, I couldn't just do that through tech, because the thing about tech, of course, is that it's when you research one tech, that means you're not taking another. So if I wanted these abilities to actually get into the game, then they had to be on another type of component. So the leaders kind of developed out of that. The development of the current system, it wasn't always how it is. It kind of grew that way over time. Reasons for the current design iteration is, we didn't want all of the leaders to start in the game at once, because that number of abilities was overwhelming. So just starting the game with one additional ability on the agent was kind of where that landed, and that's how the unlock system was developed. And there's actually been a lot of call out for faction specific objectives, which in testing were actually really difficult to get right because having faction-specific victory points makes, like, it just starts to get in this space where it favors some factions over other, and then you adjust them, and then it's favoring other factions.
Right.
And of course, that's already a problem in the game, and so when you apply that to just victory points, it ended up being pretty rough. And so having these like faction-specific objectives be part of the leader system instead actually worked pretty well. So that's where that came from. We didn't want to have more than one passive ability just because passive abilities are hard to keep track of or hard to remember. So that's why there's only the one on the commander, and the agent is exhaustible. And then so the heroes actually came because during development of Core, actually, I had made a bunch of legendary actions, and I cut them before beta because I couldn't figure out how to slot them into the game, basically. And then at some point during development of POK, I was like, oh, that's where I'm going to do it. Like, they're the third leader, you unlock them, and once you use them, they're gone.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how that system developed. And it wasn't the first leader system that we tried. It was probably, like, the third.
Sure.
Like, there were others that were way, way different, and some of them were fun, but ended up just not feeling right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have seen a lot of people clamoring to see the Titans of Uhl leaders.
Oh no, but I don't want to show them the Titans leaders.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Well,
I mean, I'm not kidding, but we are going to show them.
Yeah.
All right.
Reach
Reach across here.
I grabbed them already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I pulled them out while you were talking.
Oh, wow. All right.
I'm just that quick. Do you want to read them off?
No,
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Here we got their agent, Tellurian, the Protector. When a hit is produced against a unit, you may exhaust this card to cancel that hit.
Yep.
That seems good.
It's pretty good.
And then we have, let's see, Tungstantus, the Gardener. You unlock by having 5 structures on the game board. And when one or more of your units use production, you may gain 1 trade bid.
Yep.
Getting rich.
There goes all the theories that their economy is weak.
And then Uhl the Progenitor. As every hero, you must have 3 scored objectives to unlock. When you get Geoform Awakening, Action, Ready Elysium, their planet, I believe, right?
Yep.
And attach this card to it. Its resource and influence values are increased by 3, and it gains the Space Cannon 5 X3 ability, as if it were a unit.
Living planet. I don't want to read chat anymore after reading that card.
Everyone is freaking out and very happy. Speaking of hero leaders in particular.
Yep.
So the addition of hero leaders gives every faction like a really splashy kind of like ultimate
For sure.
ability. How did you approach the design and balance of these leaders in particular to strike just the right level of crazy?
There was a lot of testing, I guess. That's how.
Yeah.
It's been interesting reading feedback on the leaders because on one hand everybody's really excited about them, and on the other hand, like people are also like, oh no, like, but that means that they can do X, Y, Z, whatever.
Right.
And there's all these theories. One popped up the other day where the Ghost of Creus swapped a planet, or like blew up the Muat blows up the wormhole nexus with theirs, and then the Ghost of Creus swaps a Mechatol Rex outside of the galaxy and then isolates it from the rest of the thing, and it's like this huge game-breaking thing.
Yeah.
But the reality is that like it's actually kind of hard to use most of the heroes in that like what a hero can do, so everybody is always really wary of the possible targets, and it usually those situations don't arise because there isn't really that gotcha moment beyond maybe the first time that you play against a faction,
right?
Or if you don't know what it is.
Because like there might be possibility to get Mechatol Rex outside the galaxy, but as soon as everyone knows about that, like literally everyone is going to be fighting to stop that from happening.
It's like suddenly like everybody kebecomes really wary of everywhere that or that wormholes are. Period.
Right.
Everybody knows exactly where that Muat War Sun is and how far it can move, and there are of course things that people can do with like fleet logistics, where you can take 2 actions in a row and no one else can respond to it. But in most situations, someone does that hero action and they've done a thing, but they don't have any way to capitalize off of it immediately. So it's you'll just have to try it for yourself, and I'm sure I will throw this out there now. There will be ones that are more powerful than we thought during testing. Mm-hmm. I guarantee it. Mm-hmm. That's just how it's going to be. Like the game is asymmetric, and the community will develop meta against it, and hopefully none of them are too out there. But it's just part of the game.
Yeah. Let's see. I saw a good question. Oh yes. How do you guys do playtesting when games can take 6+ hours to play?
Yeah. So I don't know how to answer that. You have a very dedicated group of playtesters.
Yeah.
and I'm sure many of them are watching right now, and I love you all. You're the best.
And they are very dedicated.
They are extremely dedicated. They're alarmingly dedicated. Let's actually use the word alarming.
Well, they love you. So
I've seen a number of them in chat already.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to the rest of the world.
All right, so the mechs that every faction gains are another huge introduction, right? And just like the leaders, every faction gains its own mech, different than everyone else. And we touched on this a little bit, but Prophecy of Kings really is increasing the asymmetry between the factions. Mm-hmm. How would you kind of encapsulate the feeling of playing a game in the core set versus playing with Prophecy of Kings?
Black and white in color, I guess.
Sure.
That's kind of how it feels to me now. I guess like I feel like I'm missing a bunch of stuff. I guess actually it kind of feels like when you go from like 1080p to 4K.
Sure.
You don't notice the transition, but then when you go backwards, it's really
you're like, whoa.
It's really stark. Yeah. It doesn't feel hugely different at least at the start of the game because it's really like you have an agent, and that's the difference. And then you take a planet, and there's a really minor effect, and really like that's the difference at the start. It takes a while to get your next ability, to get your next hero. You don't usually build a mech right away. Like honestly, it doesn't feel that much different from the get-go, and it doesn't always feel super different all the way through. Like it starts to feel like the stakes are higher around the middle of the game and things start to get crazy, and then the end of the game is there's just a lot going on, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah. So it kind of builds up, it creeps over the course of the game.
Yep.
That's cool.
And of course, having played a ton of TI4 like core game, one thing that I've really enjoyed is that the game started to feel kind of predictable, and I'm wondering if that will even ever really happen with POK because there are so many different options now.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure it will years down the line, but like there's just a lot of different ways things can go. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of ways you can build a faction with the new tech. It's just a lot of stuff.
Can you tell them about the background of the Vulwraith Cabal? Like, what's their lore background?
Yeah, the background is that they're
these boys.
Yeah, they're in.
Right in the center of it.
They were in a space outside the galaxy, like removed from the galaxy. What's that?
Like another dimension?
Like another dimension, yeah. And the kind of like when the Mechs came back from that little like pocket dimension that Ixt was trapped in, it kind of like ripped a hole, and they came through the hole.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the they are not mindless, for the record. They toy with people's minds, and so they have lots of like followers in the other factions, like cultists, basically.
Oh, cool.
They kind of advance so they're not part of the Galactic Council in a direct regard. Like lore-wise, they don't have like ambassadors or whatever.
Right.
But they can still take part in that phase because they have like agents that are like, working in the other
Working behind the scenes.
behind the scenes. Yeah,
Yep.
just brainwashed.
Mind washed.
Just saying words that go together.
They were asking for it to be flipped.
Ah, gotcha. They want to see the starting tech. That's the real deal.
Is that the real juice?
That's the real juice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we can find that at some point.
No, it's listed there. They see it now.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. So Prophecy of Kings makes the big addition of expanding the player count to 7 or 8 players. And this existed in previous editions.
Yes.
But it's only just now appearing in 4th edition for the first time. For players who might be joining with 4th edition, what do these massive 7-8 player games look like?
Madness.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's very much like the TI3 7 and 8 players. It takes it just another 2 steps up, a bigger galaxy. It's crazy. There's just a ton going on. There's people everywhere. There's a ton of abilities in the game, especially with the agents and alliances. Like, it gets really crazy. It's fun. It's a long game. Yeah, for sure. It's a long game.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I definitely played an 18-hour game of TI3 over 2 days.
Holy
There
cow.
was an 8-player game. To be fair, there was a lot of alcohol involved. But
No, yeah. As usual with such games.
Yeah.
Let's see. They want to see the Cabal's faction tech.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's over here. Maybe?
Well, there will be 1 unit, dimensional tier,
Here we go.
Um,
Yep, got it.
and then there should be another one.
Got the dimensional tear or tier.
No, it's tear. It's just a joke that I can't stop saying for some reason.
I don't know where the other one might be. There's too much. There's too much, Dane.
I'm sorry.
You've made too much.
I'm looking for it. I'll keep my eyes. Go ahead and read that out, and I'll look for it.
Dimensional tear 2. This system is a gravity rift. Your ships do not roll for this gravity rift. Place a dimensional tear token beneath this unit as a reminder. Up to 12 fighters in the system do not count against your ship's capacity. Production 7.
Yeah, it's not super exciting. I mean, if you already knew what the Dimensional Terror 1 was, it's just their space dock upgrade. I think it's in that pile right there under the nope, one over. Nope. There.
This one?
Yeah, check through that.
I just looked through this.
Did you?
Yeah. I
Well,
didn't see
it
it.
might be.
Oh, it was upside down. I found it.
Got it.
All right, here we go. Vortex. Action. Exhaust this card to choose another player's non-structure unit in a system that is adjacent to one or more of your space docks. Capture 1 unit of that type from that player's reinforcements.
Yep. So it's a way for them to actively
Steal your people.
steal units, which is another thing that people are really wary about, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I saw someone ask in the chat if the Cabal has ever stolen someone's entire army.
No, never even close. Not even remotely close. It's just not feasible.
Yeah. As players move around the galaxy in Prophecy of Kings, they're going to be exploring the planets that they encounter. They're going to be finding these relic fragments and other benefits that kind of come with the new exploration system. Do you expect to see players changing strategies that have worked in the past with the addition of exploration decks and powerful relics?
Maybe not overarching strategies, but the things that kind of have developed is because the types of effects are predictable that come out of each like cultural, industrial, and hazardous. People will intentionally go in a certain order, or they will know that a certain effect comes out of one, so they'll Hail Mary it or something like that. It is predictable. So it doesn't change maybe overarching strategy, but it does change like moment to moment strategy when you need something. Like if you know that there's a way that if there's a good percentage chance that you can get an extra trade good if you go to the industrial, or there's a good chance that you can spend your influence to build this turn if you go to cultural. It does change what you do, but no, the same types of expansion strategies that work will work are still applicable.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we've got people asking to see some more stuff. How about there are a couple factions that we didn't really talk about last time.
Okay.
But they have since been shown. But could we get more of the kind of like the lore and background on those factions? That.
Yeah. Gosh, I can't remember what we have and haven't talked about.
So I believe it's the Nomad, the Empyrean, perhaps. We definitely talked about the Mahawked and the Argent Flight. The Titans of Ul.
Yeah, maybe we didn't talk much about the Titans of Ul. I know I went over the Nomad pretty heavily on SCPT, so
Perfect.
I think
so go. I'll
go with I'll go with Titans. So the Titans were they were created by the Mahawked way in the past, and they were their builders and their army. So something kind of triggered that woke them up when the Mahawk came back, but they were like no longer under the Mahawk's control, so they had free will, and they just wanted to build.
Can you flip that around so it stands more vertical? Otherwise, it's
Flip the faction sheet. There's a note on the back though.
Oh. Faction sheets.
Everybody wants to see that Titan starts with anti-mass.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. People asking to see some new objectives.
Yeah. Let's see.
Here, I'll pass you the objectives, and you can make the selections. As you're looking for that, I know someone wanted to see the Muat.
Describe what a Saturn engine looks like. So
yeah. Does it look like Saturn?
In my head, the Saturn engines were actually like they're like floating circular things that orbit the Hell Titans, like the really big ones. Not like discs, more like rings, I guess.
Like Saturn.
Yeah, like Saturn.
Yeah.
Which is where the name came from. Yeah, so that's in my head what they look like. There's no that's not written down anywhere, so it's up to you guys to preserve that for
not official lore.
I know it is official lore. I just said it now.
Oh, okay.
I think that makes it official.
You say it becomes official lore.
Yeah.
Those other leaders go.
Honestly,
they're over by you.
I'm not 100% sure what we've shown and what we haven't. So, if you just want to spin through a couple, from stage 1 and stage 2,
sure,
go for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You want to find the Muat commander while we're doing this? They were asking about that guy.
Yeah, sure.
I think that pile of leaders.
Muat commander.
All right, let's see here. All right, some new objectives. I'm just going to grab some random ones here. We've got raise a fleet. This is stage 1 objective, of course. Have 5 or more non-fighter ships in one system. Explore deep space. Have units in 3 systems that do not contain planets. That's kind of cool to give more value to those empty zones, you know?
Yeah.
Discover lost outposts. Control 2 planets that have attachments.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here.
Just to make people fight over for the ones that get attachments on them during exploration even more.
Become a legend. Have units in 4 systems that contain legendary planets, Mechatol Rex, or anomalies.
Yep.
Control the borderlands. Have units in 5 systems on the edge of the game board other than your home system.
That one gets crowded real fast.
Achieve supremacy. Have your flagship or a war sun in another player's home system or the Mechatol Rex system. And then there's a whole bunch more.
Yep.
There's like 7 more from each stage.
I did find
there are many.
Magmus. My buddy Magmus.
All right. Magmus. To unlock, produce a war sun. After you spend a token from your strategy pool, you may gain 1 trade good.
Yep. So once you build your first war sun beyond the one you start with, you have a nice steady income because, as it turns out, you spend quite a few strategy tokens.
Yep.
Sorry, I was going to say it gives them a little extra kick for some of their faction abilities also.
Yeah.
Starforge, etc.
I saw a question when. Maybe it was a ways up. When did you know that like you needed to do an expansion for Twilight Imperium, and like how long have you been working on it?
It's a good question. Well, like I had exploration that I knew I wanted to have. I guess so. I kind of always wanted to do one. There was just stuff that I couldn't fit into the core game, and so I left those hooks there, the planet traits, knowing that they didn't have a huge effect in the main game or in the core game. But I wanted to leave that option. I guess it was never a sure thing that an expansion was going to happen, but I always wanted to. Yeah, so I think the timing of it actually worked really well, just because I kind of got to see let the game sit for a long time, and know what really I wanted to add, and I'm glad I did, because if I had implemented exploration out the gates, it would look very different, and it would be worse, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we are almost done, but hit us with any last questions that you have.
Let's see.
Do you have any last spoilers that you want to throw out for people here? Maybe like one more spoiler.
Yeah, no. Here, go look at these planets. Here, have some new planets while I
okay.
while I look at these questions here.
Here's some new planets. We got.
Release date November.
Yeah.
People asking.
Lots of people asking for spoilers.
For specific spoilers.
Questions.
What?
In a typical 10-point game, about how many relics get played and how many different relics in the deck?
There are 10 relics in the deck.
I believe that's right.
And it depends if Nazraka is in the game or not. So assuming they're not, you'll see a number of them. Maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Maybe less. It kind of depends on how stingy people are with trades. In a Nazraka game, I've seen all 10 get played.
Wow.
Yeah. Did I consider bringing back representatives from TA3? There was a point during leader development where I was like, oh, maybe everybody should have a diplomatic leader. And I actually really like representatives from TI3, but ultimately, no, not really. It is a fun mini game, and like I said, I do like it. I don't even think that if somebody wanted to port it over from TI3, it would even be that difficult, to be honest. How are 6-player 14-point games with the 4th ring? Very resource generous. There are so many resources in a 6-player large galaxy, but the rules for building the map are in the rulebook, which actually reminds me. There's also the setups for using like the Hyperlanes to make like more balanced 7 and 8-player maps in there as well. Let's see. How often did you play Warsun Ghosts? Not very much during core development, but several times during POK development. It's very feasible, but I think they still struggle with getting the resources needed to build Warsuns. Let's see.
Can you explore and add tiles to the areas outside of the map?
You cannot. No. Nope. Sar Hero. Sar Hero is the Armageddon relay.
Sounds promising.
Yep. Sure, I'll just find it. It nukes things from orbit.
Oh, card sleeve count. I wonder if that's right here on the back. 9 yellow.
Jeez, where?
There's more over here.
Oh my god.
So many leaders. Are Hyperlanes intended to only be used in the 7 to 8-player games, or rather only on large maps?
There are setups to use them for 5 and then 7 and 8. But there are more hyperlane configurations and tiles than are used in the official map setups because I want people to make new galaxy setups.
Yeah, make something crazy.
Yeah, no, I want them to make cool stuff. So yeah, there's 9 of them and they're all double-sided. So there's quite a few configurations, and I'm sure people will go crazy and make ones with like 2 sets and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Please don't buy 2 sets of this game. I mean, you can if you want.
You can if you want to. That'd be sweet. Have like 2 galaxies that are linked by like hyperlanes.
Extra mech is the Indomitus. It has space cannon.
All right, so here is Gurno Agaro, captain of the First Fleet. Has the same unlock as every hero. Armageddon Relay, the Lay of Lysis. Action, choose one system that is adjacent to one of your space docks. Destroy all other players' infantry and fighters in that system. Then purge this card.
Yep.
Shooting nukes at people.
Yep. Imagine them kind of like more like lasers.
Lasers.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of lasers.
Yeah. Some kind of like Doom Sun or something.
There was a point in development where that was next to each of your space docks.
Whoa.
As it turned out, that was too much. People are asking for extra mech. It is Indomitus. It has space cannon. That is the extra mech.
Question: You said games will probably end on average a round earlier.
I think so. Yeah.
What types of new victory points can you get in a round that will make this happen?
It's not necessarily that there are more victory points, and it's actually kind of similar, but there are just so many new avenues to make things happen that it seems that like people can find something to score usually. Yeah. So it's not really like always. There's not like ever usually a round except maybe the first round. That's really it. Awesome. It's not that there's like a new avenue for victory points.
All right. Well, I think that we will cut people off of spoilers at this point. After all, we want there to still be some cool things for you to discover when you like open the box for the first time and start to like dig through this and be like, oh my gosh, what is this? Yep. But your gracious benefactor Dane still has one more special thing for everyone before we sign off.
I do?
Yeah.
Wait, what do I have?
The guide to the Imperium.
Oh yeah, the guide. I forgot about that. For everybody who is interested, I'll be posting on the FFG site after this something I just finished working on, which is the Guide to the Imperium. So it's 108 pages. It has the backgrounds for all 24 factions, so including the new ones. So if anybody wants to read those, it also has all the collected TI lore from the past, years of like all the like the fiction that we've written, including the one that will be in the Prophecy of Kings. So if you want to read that, as well as one that I wrote for core game lore compendium that never went in because we changed kind of the style.
Unpublished.
Yeah, unpublished. It'll also have both lore compendiums, including the one that will be in Prophecy of Kings. For anybody who's interested in the factions and the lore of the universe, there will be new stuff for you to check out, and a collection of the old stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Because not everybody played TI3, so there's pages and pages. It's a 108-page document, so enjoy that.
Yeah, get your lore download.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching. We couldn't be more excited for Prophecy of Kings, the new expansion for Twilight Imperium.
I know I am.
Coming out this November. Yeah, I know. I got my copy pre-ordered. It's going to be sweet. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Remember to come back and join us tomorrow. If you like the X-Men, we're going to be playing X-Men Mutant Insurrection, a new game coming out early next year. We're going to be playing it here at this table. So come back and get a load of that. Remember to pre-order at your local retailer. And thank you to Carolina Game Tables for this awesome table that we are sitting here at today. We'll see you guys next time.